Welcome to Chilango's cooking channel. Today we're gonna make enchiladas rojas, and we're gonna make vegetarian and vegan version, which is made with sweet potato, and the traditional ones with chicken. You can also use beef or other kind of meat. And we're gonna assemble them so you can make a dish for one person with the rice and beans, or you can also have a big container where you can share with everybody and put it to the center of the table. So the ingredients are salt, caraway seeds, cloves, also Ancho chili, Morita chili, tomato, onion and garlic for the Salsa Roja. Then we're gonna have cheese and cream and also queso fresco, or you can also use feta cheese, and in this case I also have vegan and vegan cream cheese. And of course the corn tortillas, these are super important, and then we have the sweet potato and the chicken. So let's get to this. I will start by washing the sweet potato and then remove these little pieces of root that are hanging around, and then poke very carefully and firmly all over the sweet potato so that the heat will penetrate better once we put it into the oven. Preheat your oven 200 degrees Celsius, about 400 Fahrenheit, and let it cooking for 45 minutes to a bit over 1 hour. And moving on. The tomatoes, you can also put them in the oven, so I'll just toss them in. Make sure to keep an eye on the tomatoes, those are gonna be ready much faster. Now, meanwhile, let's start cooking the chicken. So I'm gonna put the chicken to cook, and actually I'm doing many things at the same time, but in here I'm gonna show you just the whole thing with the chicken. But consider that you can do the chicken while you're making the salsa and so on. All I have is water, chicken and salt. Now the chicken is cooked, and then I just proceed to shred it just like this. So now let's make some rice meanwhile. So I have long grain rice, and I'm gonna use 1 portion of long grain rice with 2 portions of water. In this case I'm gonna use some vegetables. You can also add garlic, you can add onions. We've done this rice 100 times because rice and tacos, rice and enchiladas, it's the deal and it's often the way to go. I'm adding a little bit of salt, and I'm making them in the rice cooker so I can move on with the salsa and forget about the rice. We have chile ancho and chile morita. Be careful, the chile morita adds a lot of smokiness and it's super delicious, but if you put too much, it's gonna be pretty spicy. In the other hand, ancho has a much milder flavor and it's not gonna add so much spiciness. Now look, my tomatoes are ready. So how do I know they are ready? Because I can peel them off very easily. They are a little bit black, but most important is that when I rip off the skin, it goes very easily. And to do this, I'm using cold water to put it on the tips of my fingers and cool down a little bit, and then carefully take off all the peel of the tomatoes. Now we're ready to start blending because the chilies are also soft. So all you gotta do is put all the ingredients listed down below in the description for Salsa Roja and blend them. We have here the chilies, the tomato, and I also used a little bit of canned tomato. But it's very important you also use fresh tomato, because if you only use canned tomato, it's gonna give a little bit of like a Italian sauce flavorish. So either use only fresh tomatoes that are roasted, or the fresh tomatoes roasted and a little bit of canned tomato. And then you have the onions, and you have garlic, the caraway and the cloves. Use very little cloves because they are very, very strong and they're gonna add a lot of aroma, which is good under the right amounts. Now I added salt and we blend this thing until it's very, 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 very well blended. Everything is completely mixed up together, and you can see here we have our salsa roja ready to get the last and final boiling. It's very important to cook it again because now we're gonna make sure that everything simmers and all the flavors come down together, and also it's gonna help us to lower a little bit the spiciness from those chilies. Meanwhile, the sweet potato is ready. All we did is roast it in the oven, and now we're gonna peel it. This is amazing how this changes the whole profile of the flavors and the sweetness comes up. There's even a dessert that is made with condensed milk. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna talk about it later on. But well, now let's just carefully peel off these delicious, look at these colors, it's just amazing. I really love the enchiladas with sweet potato. We're gonna soften now our tortillas by frying them very quickly in very hot oil, but make sure not to let them fry too much that they will start getting hard. This process is very simple and very silly, but I really think it changes a lot the flavor. When the corn fries just a little bit with the oil, it really boosts the sweetness of it. You can skip it if you don't want to have them so greasy, but oof, I think I will definitely take those extra calories just to get that little bit extra flavor. And now all you gotta do is fill in the tortillas with the chicken that we cooked previously. And if you would be making them with beef, or if you would be making them all of them sweet potato, you can do it as well. Now with the magic of editing, I'm gonna do this process very fast, and this is going to be the way you can make enchiladas for like a family reunion, to make it easy and simple, because all you gotta do is you have those tortillas filled in with your favorite filling and then cover them with the salsa. I'm also gonna teach you later on how to make salsa verde. You can have one side salsa verde, one side salsa roja. You can even assemble it like a lasagna and then just put like tortilla, meat, tortilla, and so on and so on. This is a little bit like free way, and especially if you're making home cooking, to simplify it and make it easy and super fast. Because this kind of dish, what you can do is you can prepare this early morning or even the day before, assemble everything, leave it ready, and then when your guests come, just put it into the oven and bam, you have food for a big group, really fast, really easy, and no complications. Mexican food does not have to be complicated. All I'm doing right now here is adding some shredded cheese. I'm using Gouda. You can use Manchego, you can use Swiss cheese, you can use whatever cheese that's gonna work fine in the oven, that's gonna melt, and it's gonna give a nice and crusty gratinated cover to our enchiladas. So the oven, 200 Celsius, 400 Fahrenheit, and if you put them to cool down the day before, it's gonna take maybe 45 minutes, if not, maybe 20 is enough. Now, in this case, this is gonna be more like the way you would maybe plate it for a restaurant or for a one-person meal. So using a glass container, I made that shape with the rice, like a half sphere. And then I'm adding the content of the enchilada to each of the tortillas, and I'm gonna plate 3 enchiladas. I think that's a good number per person. And don't worry if the tortilla gets a little bit broken, because we're gonna cover them up very generously with the salsa that we made. And we're also gonna add on top a few more toppings. So I'm gonna start by placing some onions. You can also use red onions if you wanna bring a bit more color to the dish. And then I'm putting here the vegan cheese. That's why it looks a little bit more clumpy. But of course, if you're using, the best cheese to use here would be queso fresco. But otherwise, feta is a nice way to actually cover up for the lack of queso fresco, or Greek cheese or salad cheese. Anyway, the point is that it has to be a little bit dry and pretty salty. And then I'm adding some vegan cream. You can also use cheese cream as well. It's also a nice combo. And make sure just not to put like everything, but rather choose whether you're gonna use cream or cream cheese, and then which cheese you're gonna add, or if you're gonna use also regular cheese and then just gratinate it in the salamander, or even you can use a little flamethrower like the ones you use for like a creme brulee, and you can then gratinate the cheese just on top of each dish of enchiladas. I added the beans on the side, and we have now here our enchiladas, vegan enchiladas. I add some slice of avocado because they look really nice and bring some color. And let's move on with our other enchiladas, the chicken ones that we put in the oven. The cheese is nice and melted, so this is ready just to put it at the center of the table. And I'm going ahead and adding some sour cream. You can use smetana. You can also let everybody add as much as they want, but I just want to make it ready so I can show you how it looks. I'm adding some onions. Everybody here love onions, but of course if you don't like, maybe you can just put them aside and everybody can just put as much or as little onions as they want. And finally, queso fresco on top. So, señoras, señores, the enchiladas are ready. This is super simple, super fast, and this is gonna be a big meal for a bunch of people, and we're all super hungry and ready to eat the enchiladas and also the vegan enchiladas that I showed you how to plate. Oof, ready. So today I'm gonna have some help digging into the meal, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Send me a message if you want to know more about the recipes. Don't forget to comment, and look, I was not lying when I said I normally cook for my friends, so have a nice meal and see you next time. Buen provecho!